For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, for the record, for the record, for the record. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price on y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wednesdays with Worsh. It is the new year, so happy New Year's, everybody. By the time you guys are watching it, it's going to be January 2nd, I believe. So hopefully you guys have had a great holiday, safe, fun, happy New Year's with friends and family. In this week's episode, I'm going to be breaking down creatine monohydrate. You guys have been asking for it, so here it is. I'm going to tell you what creatine is, how it works in the body, dosage, who should be using it, side effects, all that fun stuff. So I've done the research. I'm gonna make it super easy for you guys. But first, I'm gonna take you guys on a run. So let's jump into it, and then we'll head back and I'll break it down for you. Alright, so let's talk about creatine monohydrate. This is something that has been well researched, it's perfectly safe, completely legal, and there's a lot of supporting information and data out there to show that everybody should be using this. I don't care if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a young athlete, male, female, elderly, there's something to gain from taking creatine on a daily basis, primarily in supplement form, which we'll get to in a little bit. So for all you women out there that are concerned about bloating or gaining weight, trust me, there are guys in the gym that work out every single day or work out a couple days a week and they never get any bigger or any larger or any stronger. I see it all the time. If you guys are looking to get big, then yeah, creatine can help in that. If you're looking to get a tighter waist and more lean muscle mass, creatine can also help with that. And that's because diet plays a big role, sleep, and how you train. So don't worry about the bloating aspects or retaining water, looking bigger. There's a lot to gain here, so let's dive into it. So first things first, what is creatine? Well, creatine is actually a natural compound that's found in the body. It's produced by the liver and kidneys using 3 different types of amino acids: glycine, arginine, and methionine. These 3 amino acids allows our body to produce creatine, which is used to then create energy for the rest of the body. So all of our cells use ATP as energy. So ATP is also known as adenosine triphosphate. You can think of it as the currency in the body. So in order for us to move, do all the things that we do on a daily basis, think, operate, it's through ATP. So what are the benefits of creatine? Well, one is that most of us don't get enough of it through our diet, and we actually excrete about 2 grams through our urine on a daily basis. So we look at our creatine production and how much we store as kind of like a net zero. So getting more of it actually helps us create more energy, which leads us into the first benefit. If you guys are looking to have more energy throughout the day, just naturally, no caffeine or anything else required, creatine is a great supplement for that. Now for you guys that are looking to get some gains in the gym, listen up. Creatine monohydrate has been repeatedly shown to improve strength by up to 10% in both upper body and lower body exercises, and this goes for you women as well. Creatine monohydrate is one of the best performance enhancing compounds, supplements, drugs, whatever you want to call it, for you guys that are looking to get some gains in the gym. The last benefit that we can get from creatine is actually a neurological one. So for most of us, we're probably not thinking about Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's, but I'm just giving you fair warning now. You're probably going to see a huge increase in how many people suffer from this terrible disease. Creatine monohydrate has actually been shown to protect our brain from deterioration or degradation as we age, and it's also been shown to stave off some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's or dementia. So I think that from a just average Joe standpoint, if you're not looking to go into the gym and get any gains or anything like that, taking creatine just from a health and longevity standpoint is a great idea. Not to mention the increased energy that you'll have throughout the day is a nice added benefit as well. All right, so now let's talk about how creatine works. But first, we need to break down how energy is produced, or ATP is produced in the body. Now remember, adenosine triphosphate. That's adenosine with 3 phosphate molecules tied to it. That's gonna play a pivotal role in understanding how this works, so keep that in mind. Now there are 3 different ways that energy, or ATP, can be created in the body. One is the phosphagen system. Think 8 to 10 seconds of energy production. So think like 100-meter dash, right? It provides us enough energy to do a 100-meter sprint or explosive exercise. Number 2 is our glycogen lactate acid, or glycogen lactic acid system, which provides us with enough energy for 1 to 2 minutes of exercise. Think 400-meter swim. And the third way is through aerobic respiration. Now this actually gives us unlimited ATP, or unlimited energy. Think marathon running, all right? So now that we understand that there's 3 different systems, the one that creatine monohydrate influences the most is that first system, that phosphagen system. That phosphate, adenosine triphosphate, creatine plays almost as a shuttle in that system to speed up the cycle, or speed up the production of ATP. So creatine is really effective in boosting your output or your strength within an 8 to 10 second window. So if you're trying to jump really explosively, or lift a very heavy weight, or take off the blocks and go immediately into a sprint, creatine is going to help you in that regard. Now the way it works is it's actually shuttling a molecule of phosphate around from one side of the molecule to the other to meet with ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and it drops off that other phosphate to then make ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And creatine keeps this cycle going and keeps producing ATP as long as creatine is available. So having adequate levels to work as this agent of breaking a molecule off and shuttling it to the other cell and breaking it off, and that cycle that we're producing energy, we need to be supplementing with it, or we need to have a certain level of saturation. So I'm gonna break down dosage, loading, and a whole bunch of other stuff after this. Now before we get into the dosage, I want to share with you what are the best sources of creatine, because some of you might be thinking, well, can't we get this from our diet? If it's produced naturally in the body, why don't we make adequate levels of it? Well, you're actually right, but the problem is the biggest source of creatine is actually from red meat. And since most of us have kind of demonized red meat, or don't eat red meat, we have really low levels of creatine. And so for you vegetarians or vegans out there, you guys are really suffering in the creatine department. In order to get adequate levels, you need to be supplementing. But if you guys are thinking, okay, I'll just eat a bunch of red meat. Oh, hold on now. As you cook red meat and you start to process it, because cooking is a form of processing, you actually denature or destroy the proteins or the creatine that's in that meat. So the only way that you'd be able to get that 1 gram from, let's say, 1 pound of red meat is if you were to eat it raw, and I don't recommend that. So don't go out and start eating raw slabs of red meat. You can still cook your steak, still enjoy your grass-fed beef. Just know that you're not getting adequate levels. So your next best option is to supplement, which is now where we can get into the dosage and what are the best forms. So what's the best dosage for creatine, and how should I supplement with it? Well, there's actually a lot of different types of creatine, but we're not going to get into that. The most research, and probably the safest one that you could be taking, is creatine monohydrate. So making sure you're getting a good source of that is optimal. I personally trust Onnit. That's just because I'm a fanboy. I love all their products. They do a great job, and they have really, really good quality control. Now, creatine is something that has to reach a saturation point. So for many of you, you've probably heard of people loading. Now, when you're taking this, you should be taking about 5 grams on a daily basis. But if you were to do that and have never taken creatine before, it would take you about a month to reach that saturation point and start seeing the benefits. To increase that time frame and start seeing benefits quicker, we need to saturate the muscles and the brain and the tissue with large quantities of creatine. So what I recommend for you is doing 20 grams daily for the first 5 to 7 days in order to saturate the full body, and then you would want to take a 5-gram maintenance dose after that, and you just take it every single day, whether you're training or not. This will make sure that you have adequate levels of creatine in the muscle and in your brain tissue. This is going to give you the optimum performance and the best benefits. Now, something to keep in mind here is when you're taking the 20 grams in the beginning, it can actually cause some side effects like bloating or stomach aches and things like that. So I recommend partitioning it out into multiple parts of the meal. So if you're gonna have a protein shake post-workout, I just do 10 grams there. Maybe if you have a morning shake or you wanna create a protein shake in the earlier part of the day or mix it in with other things, I would take 10 grams. So just separate it to make sure that you're not gonna have an upset stomach or anything like that. All right, so now let's talk about side effects, and really there are very few side effects, so nothing to be worried about. Like I mentioned before, it is one of the safest products or supplements on the market out there, and the only things that you should be worried about is when you're going through that loading phase, it could cause bloating or upset stomach. So in order to counteract that, like I said, partition it through the day. The other thing is about 20% of the population has been recorded to be unresponsive to creatine. So if you start taking it and after a month or so, you're not noticing any benefits or any strength gains in the gym or noticing any sort of increase in energy, then you may be one of those responders. So just keep that in mind and don't waste your money, but just be wary of your body and how it's functioning and how you feel before and after you take it. And that's it. Creatine Monohydrate, a supplement that everybody should be taking on a regular basis, whether you're young, old, male, female, weekend warrior, bodybuilder, or just somebody that's trying to stay healthy. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode of Wednesdays with Worsh. Thank you for joining me. It's great to see you guys again. I'm happy to be back and ready to be putting out regular content here. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you really like it and want to see more content, then hit the subscribe button. It does help me grow the channel so that I can get this information out to more beautiful people. So I'd really appreciate that. But this wouldn't be an episode of Wednesdays with Worsh without a quote of the week. So this week's quote is coming at us from Margaret Shepard. Sometimes your only available transportation is a leap of faith. And I think this is great timing, especially this time of year where people are reflecting on the year and looking at the new year with optimism and wanting to become a better version of yourself. So whether you're seeing it now in January or you're watching it 6 months from now, I encourage you guys to trust yourself. Try something new this week. Go out, do something that's maybe been rattling around in your head for the last month or two, whether it's something very small or something really big. Trust yourself, take a leap of faith. You'll be really surprised what happens on the other end of that fear, and you'll find that it really wasn't that big of a deal anyways, and you're better off because you made that decision. So, be healthy, be happy, and be yourself. Everyone has something to give this world. You just got to go out there and find it. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.